Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy New Year. Probably the last time I can say that now because we're almost done with January. But happy 2024. Happy beginning of our new webinar season, as we like to say, and welcome to the first episode of 2024's now formerly Pixel Webinar Series, now the CreoSpark Webinar Series. And today's offering of the state of the digital workspace, the future of work with Microsoft's latest inventions. We love doing this session. We love kicking off the year with this session. There's always so much that goes on throughout the year, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with it, right? There's so many new things that are coming out, so many things that have just come out. So we want to make sure we're talking about all those things, keeping you all updated and about what's going on in that crazy, crazy world of Microsoft. As always, my name is Michael Wells. I am one of the customer experience managers here at CreoSpark. It is my pleasure to be your host, as always, here on one of the last Thursdays of the month and talk to you guys about some of the amazing stuff that we want to talk about. We got a lot to get through today, so I'm gonna move us right along. If you'll go to the next slide, please. Let's go through the agenda for today. We got a lot of stuff we want to get through. We'll talk about some housekeeping. We'll introduce you to our amazing, amazing panel that we have for today in just a bit. We're going to talk about Microsoft's vision, talk about AI in action, the Power Platform, Viva and SharePoint Premium, Dynamics 365, and of course, as always, at the end, we will save time for questions and answers as well. Go to the next slide, please, if you wouldn't mind. All right, so let's start off with the housekeeping. Questions. So if you've got questions, there is a questions tab. If you're on the desktop version of GoToWebinar, should be a little chat bubble. No, sorry, desktop. So you're going to have a pop-out thing. Sorry, got them confused. A little pop-out thing that we can put your questions in. Throw your questions on up in there. I will be following along throughout the session. We will make sure your questions get answered. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch today. We're covering every topic that there is. So get those questions on up in there. We'll make sure those get answered. If we can't get to them in that moment, we'll make sure we get to them at the Q&A portion of the session at the end. That's there. We'll have some handouts for you at the end as well. Just keep an eye on the handouts panel. And then a recording. If you maybe missed something, maybe you want to check this out again later down the road, we will have a recording out by next week in your email inbox. Keep an eye out on that. We'll also have a survey for you to take at the end. Just a quick little survey. We are a culture of constant feedback. We want to make sure that you're getting the topics in the sessions that you want to see, and we always want to make sure we're doing the best for you. So make sure you fill that out. Next slide, please. All right, so whether this is your first webinar with us, or maybe this is your, gosh, we've done like 70 of these now. So maybe you've been at like all 70 of them. We're happy to have you here. But in case you haven't been here before, we are CreoSpark. We work all in and around the Microsoft universe, touching every corner, breadcrumb, puzzle piece that Microsoft has to offer. And it's all in pursuit of the ideal digital employee experience. And what do? We do that from a couple different locations. First is on the West Coast in Davis, California, about 20 minutes south of Sacramento. We've got our Microsoft regional director here, as well as some of our custom SharePoint team as well. And then over on the East Coast, we've got our other main headquarters in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We've got another Microsoft MVP there, a multidisciplinary team that works there covering all the different things that we do. We've got an amazing group that does everything that we do, and we're lucky to have them. Let's move along to the next slide, please. It's a little bit about us. But as always, we like to kick off with just a little poll, give you guys, get an opportunity for you guys to participate a little bit, but also for us to know, as I get this poll ready, what you guys are here for today, how you're feeling about things. So let's go ahead and launch the poll. It's going to pop up on the screen. You can vote. AI is the talk of the town. When it comes to Copilot, where are you in your adoption journey? I'm actively using Copilot now. Bring it on. I'm ready to tap into Copilot's powers. I'm excited but nervous to dive in. I'm excited but don't know where to begin. Pilot, more like no pilot, am I right? Those are your options. Let us know what your experience is with Copilot. Please excuse my typo in the question there. But we want to know how you're feeling about Copilot. Obviously, it's one of the hot topics that we've got today going in the Microsoft world. It's about to be everywhere. Everyone's about to get Copilot. And we just want to know how you're feeling about it. Seeing some good answers come in. Appreciate y'all participating and letting us know how you're feeling about it. Give you guys about 5-7 more seconds, get your answers in. I think you're going to like what people are saying. I had a lot of surprises there. I'm liking what I'm seeing there. That's great. Thank you everyone for participating. Okay, I'm going to shut that down, and I will share this with you guys. So 13%, I'm actively using Copilot now. Love that. Love to hear that. 37% are excited to tap into Copilot's powers. Nobody's nervous to dive in. That's great. That's good to hear. 43% said I'm excited but don't know where to begin. Makes total sense. And then 7% of you appreciate the Copilot more like no pilot. I totally get it. But we appreciate you guys participating in that. We always like to start these out with those polls and go from there. But enough about that. Let's get into our speakers. Go to the next slide, please. We're going to do some introductions. We want to introduce you guys to our amazing group today. Starting off with, you may recognize my face as the person who's always here kicking us off, but the other most recognizable face in our webinar's history is the guy whose face just popped up on whatever site he's popped up on. He is our Chief Products Officer. He's Microsoft Research Director, Microsoft MVP, and he's coming in live from the Microsoft office in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, normally in Woodland, California, but today he's in Toronto. He's a world traverser. He is Mr. Eric Overfield. Eric, how's it going today, boss?
Excellent. So excited to be here with you all. This is going to be a great hour here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here today. Go to the next slide, please. And we've got 3 other folks we're going to have you join today. We've got 2 familiar faces and 1 new face for you. Starting on the left, he is our CTO here at CreoSpark. He is also a Microsoft MVP. He is also just one of the nicest guys, and he's not just my twin, but he is just as cool. He is Mr. New Rez Camus. Rez. Oh, he's also coming in from the Microsoft office in Toronto. Almost forgot that part. How you doing today, Rez?
Good. Excited to be here.
We love having you here. Thank you for being here, sir. All right, next, he is not just a knight who says knee, but he will tell you all about the magic of medieval Microsoft. He is our modern work practice lead. He is the one, the only Mr. Jed Cawthorn. Jed, how you doing today, sir?
Nothing says modern work like medieval garb, but I had to do this to our marketing director happy. And I do, for the Microsoft people out there, I need medieval swag with Microsoft logos on, just saying.
If you're listening, Satya Nadella, this is what we need from you at the next Ignite. And last but certainly not least, she is our business applications practice lead. She is a lover of all things Power Platform. She doesn't just have a golden voice. She also has a golden heart. She's the one. She's the only. Miss Crystal Amora. Crystal, happy to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, guys. Yeah, this is our panel for today, guys. Again, if you just have any questions, throw them on up there. We'll make sure we get them to you. But other than that, guys, take it away.
Excellent. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so Copilot. Yes, we know there's so much going on around Copilot. Microsoft has made it sound like that's the only thing that matters. Totally agree. But the thing is there's so much more than Copilot. So don't worry. We want to talk about Copilot, but we also want to talk a lot about the digital workspace and what's going on and where's all that happening. So, that's kind of this point of why are we here? There's so much happening. It seems that acceleration keeps going on. We love to do this every year where we try to figure out where the world is right now in the ecosystem that we're all playing in. This year, the panel we got to put together, I'm just beyond super excited. There's so much going on, so much about Copilot. Let's dig into that. Let's start with the digital workspace. Don't worry, we're getting it into Copilot. We'll get into the Power Platform. We're going to get into SharePoint Premium, all kinds of good stuff. Somehow we're going to fit that into an hour. I'm very excited. So let's go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. I believe that's the specific one. Exactly. Okay, so here's where I thought that we would start. I wanted to talk about where is the digital workspace based on Microsoft's vision. Let's try to help distill down for all of you that are attending kind of what our take is, because this is what we're doing every day. So Jen, I thought I'd start with you. Over the next year, Microsoft has been promoting some ideas. Could you help kind of give an idea of what do you think and what do you see as Microsoft's take on where the digital workspace is going to be heading over the next year?
Absolutely. So let's get that elephant out of the room first. Copilots everywhere. Copilot for M365. The newly announced Copilot Pro for individuals, which I thought was very interesting. Availability of things like custom GPTs. But there's other good AI stuff like SharePoint Premium and AI in Viva topics. And then we've got all the non-AI stuff. So we've got new releases and features and functionality coming in Viva. There's always updates to Teams. We've got general availability of Loop, for instance. So it's not just AI. AI is important. We're going to talk about it a lot today, but there's a lot of other stuff going on too.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's kind of extend that out. And here's one of the things I like. We're able to bring the MVPs in, and we kind of know a little bit what's happening. So Rez, could you extend that out? What do you think about, say, over the next 5 years? Basically anything beyond the next year, because we know that Microsoft, they changes every year. They sort of change where their focus is. We might be able to get 1 or 2 years out of that. But what do you think a little past that? Where do you think that Microsoft is heading a little more distantly with the digital workspace that we can then tried to plan for.
For sure. I think the digital workspace in the next 5 years is really going to evolve around still optimizing our employees' productivity, and still leveraging and migrating to modernized cloud services. But this time, services that are more powered by compute power, the enhanced modern GPUs, and the unlimited storage it feels like we have. Software development is going to become a lot easier with AI, and it's going to evolve into making things even easier. It's going to make it evolve into making you able to do your tasks easier, being able to optimize your digital transformation tools. It's going to make your life from a day-to-day perspective, from those day-to-day tasks using AI and Copilot. And it's going to allow you to uncover insights into your data using this modern cloud storage that's out there in combination with machine learning and AI.
Yeah, I think it's would be a fool's errand to say, well, explicitly in the next 5 years, or in 5 years from now, we're going to be such and such. Because I mean, who would have seen AI really being where it is now to even 2 years ago? I mean, no one was really talking about this stuff. And yet we see things sort of come mature and then get pushed aside as a new thing happens, like we've seen with Viva. Lots happening for sure. Viva was all the rage 2-3 years ago. I thought it would have still been even more engaged with Microsoft. Oh, there's still lots going on there, but then AI comes out of left field, and all of a sudden we're like, wait a second, this thing you've been promising me for 30 years is finally possible now. Wow, super cool. Okay, so then that, I kind of want to do a roundtable on this next one, which is great. Okay, so we see where things are going to go, where Microsoft's sort of heading us over the next year, where we think we might be, or Microsoft's taking us maybe over the next 5. But what about today? So I'm thinking here, what excites you the most? What do you want to see in action right now, or what's been promised most recently? What do you think is just the most exciting things? And I'll just call you each out. So Crystal, if you'd start, what's exciting you to see in action right now?
Well, Eric, there's a lot of exciting stuff, as you all know, coming up for Copilot, but there are 2 things I'm most excited about. The first one is Copilot Studio. I'm really looking to dive into all its new features, and I already have some few new use cases that we're looking to create a POC of with Copilot Studio, and I'm so excited to explore that with my team. And the other one would be the Copilot for Outlook. I mean, for those of us who are in a back-to-back meetings all day, the new features in Outlook with Copilot will likely be like a real lifesaver. So imagine having a Copilot that can generate detailed summaries for your upcoming meetings. It's going to really help us prepare for our day. And even they said it's going to be able to schedule follow-up meetings with an agenda or an attendee list. So I think it's perfect for those jam-packed meeting days. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it in action.
Yeah, too true. And a lot of what I see promised sure looks good. And then some of us have been getting to start to play with Copilot, especially now. Hey, Microsoft recently announced that their 300 license limit has now been removed. So now truly we all can get it. And then they decided to make even things more complex by saying, well, there's a $20 license, a $30 license, and people are like, what is all that? We'll dig into that some more so we can keep moving on. Jen, how about yourself? What are you most excited about to see in action?
Yeah, I could extend Crystal's use case over to Teams as well, and Teams meetings, and getting those really very accurate AI-generated transcripts of your meeting, and that's really useful. So because now I don't have to be banging away into OneNote at the same time as I'm supposed to be paying attention to what Eric's telling me. So there's that, and I'm looking forward to people getting their hands on it and doing real things with it. And we will find out as we go out there and talk to our existing customers and new ones, like what they're actually doing with it in real life.
Too true. Yeah.
But, and I will add as well, sorry, Eric, I will add as well, I personally am super excited for SharePoint Premium's machine learning, but I know Rez wants to talk about that, so I'm going to leave it for him.
Yeah, Rez, how about yourself?
Yeah, you just stole my thunder, Judd. But I'm going to take that practical approach of, I want to be able to see and understand how tools like Copilot and SharePoint Premium, which was formerly Syntex, are going to help the day-to-day information worker by freeing them up from those historically tedious tasks that they do on a daily basis. You know, everything from auto classification and tagging, OCR, generation of business documents from templates, classifying records, sensitivity, finding answers just by asking questions and searching, and a lot more, right? So, and Eric, you and I, by the way, are going to be in Vegas in a couple months at the M365 conference doing a whole workshop on SharePoint Premium. So excited about that.
Shameless plug. All right, at the end of April, I believe it's April 30th or is it May 1st? It's the Friday of the M365 conference in Orlando. Yes, Rez and I, we're having a full day workshop for you on SharePoint Premium. So I expect to see everybody there. It'll be a lot of fun. Excellent. Okay, so wonderful stuff around where we are. We keep talking about Copilot, so I think we should dig a little bit more into Copilot. So if you go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. And let's dig into the Copilot a little more. Copilot Chronicles. Okay, so I'm thinking here, Crystal, let's start with you on this. Like, how do you see, or what could you help convey what Microsoft's messaging is about how Copilot's being woven in to Microsoft's grand plan here for the digital workspace? Like, you know, Copilot's there, it's on the scene, it's getting released to people, it's in everything, or it's been promised in everything. Like, what's their vision? Could you help share some of the thoughts around how Microsoft is saying that they're ensuring that this is actually going to be a part of our seamless life?
Right, because AI is everywhere and it's really for everyone, no matter where you are in your organization. I guess for Power Platform Copilot, it's kind of like your ultimate coding sidekick, really ready to assist, you know, different types of developers, whether you're building apps, you're automating processes, or you're diving into like really complex Power BI reports. Copilot can assist on that. And if you are in the customer service industry with Dynamics 365, there is a Copilot case summaries. Like say, for instance, you are talking to a customer on the phone and you want to be able to grasp the situation fast, you know, Copilot can summarize the customer and case information for you so you can really tackle customer issues efficiently.
Yeah. So the biz app stuff, totally cool stuff. Let's switch over to modern work. So Jed, what about yourself? Like, how do you see, what's Microsoft's vision for us to have Copilot woven into our true daily work life?
Yeah, it's all that productivity play, which is, you know, all part of that bigger vision, and absolutely linked to what Crystal mentioned. But on the modern work side, that can show itself up as, you know, individuals taking advantage of that $20 license that you mentioned, which is Copilot Pro, or whether their organizations have gone with the $30 seat for M365 Copilot. It's taking those capabilities, and whether it's chat through a web browser, whether it's building it straight into Word to help you draft, whether you're levering it through Excel to help you create graphs, or you're feeding PowerPoint a brief and it will draw your slides for you. It's all about enhancing productivity. And I think Rez mentioned it, you know, taking away the tedious tasks to let the people concentrate on the perhaps more complex and hopefully more interesting stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot to share here as well. But before I get some of my opinions here, Rez, how about yourself? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on kind of what Jed said, but it feels like Microsoft's grand plan is to have a Copilot for all of their apps and services, but yet have extensibility built in for organizations that want to extend it. And what they're going to do is they've got a huge number of licenses going to be sold for Copilot. So what they're probably going to be doing is taking all their customer feedback and constantly improve the models that they're bringing to you within Copilot in all their services, and hence try to stay ahead of the competition. That's kind of how I see it.
Excellent. Yeah, too true. Yeah, and one of the things that I haven't heard you say yet, and that I thought was really important, was some of the branding that Microsoft has talked about around Copilot, where Copilot is a really well named feature. It's not called Pilot. It's not called, I don't know, Autopilot even. It's called Copilot. someone needs to still pilot this thing, and that's us. That's all of you listening. This Copilot is next to us, helping us. But that plane crashes, it's going to be your fault, not Copilot. I don't want to hear any of you going in front of a judge and saying, "Well, here's my brief," and well, it's because Copilot. Well, Copilot's a little better at this than GPT, but it's like it just created some result for you. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. No. It's a great thing to help sum up, create content for you, give you drafts and stuff, but you're still in charge. You're still the pilot. Great. So let's move on a little bit around that and dig into a little more on Copilot some more. So like, how do you see Copilot meeting the changing needs of businesses? And Jed, I'll go ahead and start with you again.
Yeah, I think we need, well, okay, so you can see all the history guff, but I also am a big fan of science fiction and do an awful lot of reading of science fiction genre, and yet I haven't fallen into the, oh my goodness, it's the rise of the machines. I think Copilot is a manifestation, it's the front end of back end AI capabilities that works with the human, right? So it's the AI human teaming, which is going to get us to raise the level and improve our productivity and help us automate processes. And as we've already mentioned, that's with those capabilities being surfaced where you work, whether it's Word, whether it's Excel, whatever, it's there where you need it to help you. And it will help you automate some of that grunt work. As we already said, giving you the time to do the more complex and interesting stuff. But I know that some people, possibly quite rightly, still have some fears about the rise of AI. And I did some work this year with AIM, which is the Association of Intelligent Information Management. Sorry, last year now, right? We're in January, so it was last year. And we responded to the US federal government with our perspective on the development of ethical AI and how AI should be developed. So that was really interesting. And I know Crystal has some thoughts on that. So I'm probably going to...
Yeah, Crystal.
Yeah, I think AI in general, it's an innovation booster. Right now, like lots of businesses have this incredible opportunities to really come up with fresh and game-changing products and services that have that potential to really simplify life for everyone. And on top of that, they won't need big budgets for development because it's AI assisted. Now, however, there's a crucial aspect to keep in mind here, because as we dive into this, exciting journey of creating new AI systems, I think it's really important that we do it responsibly, and we really need to design with safety in mind from the very beginning and make sure that we're being fair and ethical, as Jed said, and we're not causing any harm or messing with people's privacy. So it's really important to embrace the responsible AI principles when developing AI systems.
Yeah, too true. Yeah. Rez, how about yourself? Did you have any thoughts about, gosh, there's so much, we talked about there about not only meeting the changing needs of how the needs of businesses, but also some of the broad advantages maybe of automation, or again, any of this idea around AI, is it going to take over my job? But it's not, it's your ally. But yeah, Rez, any extra thoughts on that?
Yeah, maybe I'll take a different angle. Although Copilot is an add-on in Microsoft's overall ecosystem that we know is going to be built across all their apps and services, it's kind of based on their own large language models, groundings and findings in your business data. So again, I'm going to tackle it from, it's really the extensibility of the Copilot platform that's going to be important as models created by others outside of Microsoft, or models that are done by other developers, models that have an impact on society, on the day-to-day business optimizations that organizations desire. Those are the ones that everyone are going to know and remember. So to me, the important aspect of it changing on Copilot and AI is all about the being able to be extensible to take in these other models. So.
Okay, so in the survey, thank you all for participating in that. None of the panelists, we couldn't skew the results at all. So thank you all, the attendees, for chiming in. And There's a lot of you here, which is awesome. Thank you all for joining us. That really is an honor that you're giving us that time. We are doing everything we can to provide you the value. And one of the things I saw about half of you say was you're excited about it. You would like to learn more about what it is. Like, you don't know where to begin. And so part of that is going to be like, how can we change what we're doing to prepare ourselves for that? So again, I want to go around the horn with all of this. This time I'm going to start with Crystal, but here's my question for you is, how can we prepare for this? I mean, most of us, let's see, what did we have? 13% of you were using Copilot now. So again, I'm going to assume the rest of you are not or don't have access to it. You may not have access for a couple months or it might take longer, but you can start preparing today for lots of reasons. So how can we best prepare for Copilot? How can we support our teams to be able to embrace the Copilot when we're going to get it? Because probably most of us will this next year or so. I mean, Microsoft's going to push hard, but they're going to provide a lot of value. So Crystal, what's your thoughts here? How can you help our listeners prepare themselves, their organizations for Copilot, and how can they support their team so that when it does get to them, it'll be a little easier for everyone to adopt?
Right. Again, we have the Microsoft's responsible AI principles to start with, but I think in order for us to really put this into action, I think we need tools and practices. We need standardized rules for AI and proper governance. And I believe organizations can start on doing a readiness assessment, and this includes really assessing why we're using AI, or what are the potential benefits or potential challenges it might bring, or making clear rules on who's in charge and keeping an eye on those things, managing any issues in our AI systems. We also need to set boundaries on how we use AI and be really clear about what data we need. And I believe those conversations will help organizations get their teams ready for AI. And one more thing, I think as an organization, I believe that we should continue to empower everyone and tell our teams that, AI is a chance to learn and grow. And whether it's learning new skills or updating existing ones, everyone has the opportunity to keep up with the changes.
Jed, I want to jump to you. Okay, so we heard Rez talk about grounding the data and then utilizing data and APIs to get to data, and I hear data a lot. So I have a feeling, and you and I've talked about this, around the importance of our own data. So help me prepare. What's this whole thing? Why does my data matter? Why is that going to help with Copilot? Well, what do I need to do to start helping my organization get ready for Copilot when it has to do with something like my data? I just thought LLMs had all the data in it. Like, I just go to ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
Is that not the case?
Time to introduce grumpy old cynical Jed to the conversation. So I think, over 25 years of working with various, what we used to call enterprise content management systems, and we now refer to them as content services. And that was, SharePoint from the day it was invented. Before that, Lotus Notes, OpenText, Documentum, things that don't even exist anymore. There's always been the latest and greatest technology which was going to solve our problems, and that has rarely turned out to be the truth, unfortunately. So with AI and your question about data, I see actually that we're on familiar ground, and I will summarize it as garbage in is going to get you garbage out. And if you don't put some effort into cleaning up your data, curating it, making sure it's well tagged with good taxonomies and good metadata, all of which helps the LLMs in the processing, or even old school machine learning, depending on what you're doing. And how crazy is it that we can call machine learning old school AI now? But it's all going to be based around that preparation of the data. And as I say, if you feed it rubbish, you're going to get rubbish back out in your answers. You're going to get that hallucination and other effects from the models. So definitely, garbage in, garbage out, clean your stuff up first.
Okay, so data is super important, and I'm thinking here one of the big topics around preparing data is going to be around our SharePoint data. So Rez, another opportunity for us to do a little shameless plug on our session, our workshop that we're giving, but I have to think that with SharePoint Premium, there's something that we're going to want to do to help prep us for Copilot. So what could you share with us there?
I think well, Jed took it from a data angle. Crystal kind of took it from an AI and collaborative intelligence angle. I'm going to tackle it from an employee angle. And we all fear from an employee, we need to ease our employees' concerns that AI is going to replace their job, right? What it's going to do is give them the opportunity for them to have more time at home while being more productive at work, right? It's going to allow them to take their talents to a new level, to reduce focus, just like I said earlier, on those mundane tasks, and allow us to teach them the AI capabilities, the prompts and the grounding required to be able to use it effectively. And then you kind of called it out earlier, Eric, right? Understand that humans are still going to remain in control from an organization perspective, as Copilot is, like you said earlier, not an autopilot. It needs humans to ensure that responsibility, that safety, to still be in control and to be able to use it in a transparent manner.
Okay, and so I'm going to take basically little pieces from all of you have said, or what I've heard here. So I've heard about like data, generally upskilling, and whatnot. Now, one of the things that we've recently seen, or that I've recently seen with some clients that have been rolling out Copilot, is the users are coming back and saying, well, Copilot is not working for me yet. And it doesn't do what I thought it was supposed to do. And so one of the things around, I think, preparing and supporting our teams to get ready is to understand what it is that Copilot can and can't do, because Copilot is like a generic term across all these different pieces. And so Copilot in M365 is a little different than Copilot within, well, even like Teams or within Outlook or within Word. Copilot over in GitHub, Copilot is not the same as GPT. They're all sort of related, but they're all not. The thing is that almost all of us have no idea of what this thing is called prompt engineering is called. And that's around the idea of understanding how to ask the right question for generative AI. That's what's the background of all of Copilot and all the GPT, is this idea of this generative response, which really there's the AI behind it's whole technical thing is kind of where I geek out on, is how an actual response happens through tokens and all these cool graphs and whatnot. But we want to make sure that our users, at least, or when we want to start rolling this out, that we have a way, an ability, an approach to make sure that our users understand or have some sort of materials for them to be able to learn what Copilot can do, what it is and is not designed to do within any of the given modules or any of the given platforms you're going to roll it out on, and some sort of primer or materials or resources that your workers, that your coworkers can go to understand what prompt engineering is. It's almost a garbage in, garbage out, not from I think what I heard Jed say, but more just if you don't ask Copilot the right thing, it's going to be a problem. And I actually want to talk about like what are some of the common hurdles, and this is going to be one of them. Jed, I'll be coming to you on this one. I want to know what your thoughts are there, but we'll get that in a second. But it's going to be, when you roll this out, you're going to want to make sure to prep your users so that you don't just say, here it is, because more than likely they're going to find that Copilot is not going to work for them, or it's not going to get them a result they're looking for because they had incorrect expectations. So that's my thoughts on that. I think it's time now to let's actually start to get some real talk on here. I've heard some, and even from me, some of the marketing buzz kind of things that Microsoft likes to use around Copilot's going to save our lives. But I would like to get a little more low level here and talk about what we actually think is going to happen here. So, Crystal, I thought I'd start with you. Here's my question for you: is so how do you actually see Copilot changing the way that we're going to work over the next year?
Well, drawing from my own experience, Eric.
Please,
so English not being my native language, I think for me, Copilot has assisted me in really expressing my thoughts more effectively, and it has helped me articulate ideas with greater clarity. And I think beyond just my personal experience, I strongly believe that Copilot holds a really great potential to be beneficial for everyone. Again, what we're talking about everyone, including people with disabilities who cannot access computer systems today. I believe AI can really improve access to education, to government services, to employment, and really there's a wide range of other opportunities. But Eric, going back to my personal Copilot experiences, I have been really enjoying the Copilot in Microsoft Teams. I can get real-time summaries of all the key points that were discussed during the meetings, including, who said what, and there's also suggested action items. But of course, it's not flawless all the time, but I can see a big potential for growth, and excited to see how that evolves.
Yeah. And Jed, how about yourself? What are some of the ways that Copilot has been changing the way that we work? And Rez, of course, you're going to be next too, because I know you've been using it a lot as well. But Jed, what about yourself?
Well, I've actually been talking to friends and contacts and people I know in the legal industry, actually, because to go back to your earlier point, we need to educate people not just around the hype of its capabilities, but also when negative things get into the press and the public zeitgeist, if you like. So famously, last year, there was a couple of lawyers in the US who got into a lot of trouble for using ChatGPT, and it fed them hallucinations. It made up precedents that didn't exist. At the time, I thought that was a bit weird, considering there are many legal tech vendors out there who have AI models that would probably have given them very good precedents. But it's interesting how that hasn't put people off from working with the tools, because there is always going to be a subset, those geeky lawyers who are front of the curve and dive in. And I've been talking to some of them, and they use Word for drafting like all the time, and they don't get hallucinations because Copilot is working on their stuff in their graph. And lawyers do like to have well curated content with lots of metadata. So it's interesting how their real world experience of using the tool is quite positive compared to, everyone runs to that horror story that we all heard on the news about people getting in trouble because they were fed hallucinations. Two very different ends of the spectrum, and it seems to me that the real world use case, people's overall impression is good, and it's a useful tool, and that's all it is. We have to keep remembering that it's a tool. It's not going to do everything for us. It's not going to make our breakfast, but if it can help us draft things quicker, then yay.
Yeah. And Rez, how about yourself? I know you're one of the first people in our org to really dive into Copilot. What have you found that it's been really useful for you? Yeah, how's it been changing the way you've been working at all? Because I know you use it almost every day, it seems.
Yeah, for sure. One of the biggest ways that I use it is as part of meetings, right? I used to be frantically taking notes, not staring at the person in the eye when I'm talking to them. Now I can get Copilot to give me a summary, generate meeting notes, figure out the main objectives of the meetings, list out the action items, all of these things that we used to have somebody actually have to note down, right? So, and in the end, it's just like a click of a button and you go to the meeting transcription and you generate meeting notes really, really simply. Obviously, there's a lot of different capabilities and all the different services that are out there, such as Word to be able to generate documents based on templates. Just last week, I was trying to extract data from an Excel sheet and put it into a nice format within Word, and I basically found the right prompt to be able to do that and saved me a ton of time, right? So each one of the services has the potential to save yourself a ton of time if you understand the prompts, right? And that's a little bit of learning that each of us will have to do.
Yeah, so I'm going to segue into this next topic that I have, which is facing the music. And Jed, I kind of want to know from you, like, what are some of the common hurdles? But before we get to that, I want to just reiterate, in a sense, what Rez just said because of an experience we're having right now. So yeah, I'm in Toronto the next 2 days. I have a bunch of on-site meetings, which is really exciting to see people sometimes. We're a remote-first company. I absolutely believe in that. I think that works well, but sometimes you just need to be in the same office. And in one of the sessions that we did, I had to be the note taker, and I was frantically taking notes because I admit, like, I'm just not fully prepped yet. But I can see that Copilot's going to help me here because we had a Teams meeting going on. And as I'm taking the notes, like I got called out, like, hey, you're not active listening. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. But like, this is the way that I work. And I'm just not ready for that change, but I know I need to be. And I'm going to be excited there. And I can see myself as I learn to use Copilot and to trust it. I'm not going to quote trust its notes for I think a while personally, because it's not that it's hallucinating. I want to make sure it captured it in the way that I want. The way that I see this happening for me is using things like Copilot in Teams to help me take the notes, or to get the transcript, to create an outline for notes. Copilot create an outline of notes for me in this way, and then to take that and to edit it, to validate that it captured what I wanted to capture, maybe bold the things that I knew needed to be bolded, like, yeah, that was a really big action item. Even if you say, Copilot, create me an action item list, I would still want to maybe call things out, but to be able to be a much more active listener so that we don't have to assign a note taker, I think is going to be really fascinating to see. But that's kind of leads me to this next thing, which is facing the music, Jed. Like, so what is it when people are rolling this out? What are some of the common hurdles that we've seen organizations face? And I've already hit one, which is prompt engineering. I think that people need to learn or be taught, or you need to provide them the tools for a while on teaching many of us old folk at least. What is it that we're going to have to do? And I kind of get to say that a little bit, but what is it that you're going to have to teach me how to do this? But I know there's other things we can do, Jed. So what's some of your thoughts around what we can do to help prepare for some of these common hurdles that we know that are going to happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, the actual old guy on the call will address that one.
Only slightly older than me, yes.
I think we've touched on a fair few of the points already. One thing we maybe haven't mentioned is it's important that people get that overall understanding of what the capabilities can bring to a particular use case, or a particular business problem. So I don't know. So I'm going to call that education rather than training, right? Because it's the higher level understanding of what capabilities can be brought to bear on a particular problem. But then the next step down is what you mentioned, and I'd think the prompt engineering is more training, because that's for individuals to get a good understanding and a better idea of how to word the questions, because as we've said, the questions you ask are actually very important. But there's all that other homework to do, which I mentioned earlier on, and that's making sure you've got good data, making sure you've got lots of metadata that goes with it, all that stuff about cleaning up your data that you feed to the engine. Crystal mentioned the models themselves, because we're going to have the capability to go in through Copilot Studio and through the marketplace and add other commercial third-party models, to add open source models, in which case you need to know, what's the best model for a particular use case, and which one should you be using to create a custom Copilot or something like that. So I think, if we summarize it, there's the big understanding of the big picture and what it can bring to you. Then there's that training piece, prompt engineering, and some other bits as well. And then we're back to that garbage in, garbage out, and make sure your data, content, your files that you're going to feed to the model are good, well curated, cleaned up. And then now, coming down the line, there's this ability to pick and choose your models too. So there is a lot of moving parts to this if you want to make the most of it.
Yeah. Good stuff. Okay. So Rez, don't be intimidated by all those microphones around you from the Microsoft Office that you're in. But could you kind of give us some ideas on some of the upcoming features from Copilot that you see that you can maybe at least publicly talk about that you see making our collaborative lives maybe even more awesome? Like, and like, what can we prepare? How can we prepare for this upcoming cool magic?
Yeah, for sure. In the resources link for this webinar, I put a link to the Microsoft 365 roadmap and did a filter for Copilot. But some of the cool things that I've seen on that roadmap that are going to be coming out and imminent to be released is this thing called AI Hub in Microsoft Purview. What that's going to allow us to do as an IT admin or as an organization is gain insights into that Gen AI, that generative AI activity that's happening by your users, being able to see that sensitive data flowing into your AI prompts. So that's it'll give that governance, that comfort for your IT admins and the organization that, non-sensitive data is being provided via the prompts. So that's probably a blocker from a lot of organizations actually rolling it out, right? So that's going to give them the comfort. Another cool thing is Viva Engage Copilot, which is going to leverage the LLMs to create these communications for leaders. So really cool one when you're doing your community posts. Copilot and SharePoint. SharePoint is where a lot of us started, right? And we're going to be able to leverage these Copilot LLMs to create these to be able to create and use the data in the graph to be able to create web content on your SharePoint pages. So really cool. So you could use prompts to generate sites and pages and your content hierarchy, change your design, even create your sample content that aligns that with your needs of your SharePoint site that you're creating. So that's an awesome one that's going to be coming out soon. And then Copilot in Excel and Copilot in Planner as well. So those ones should be imminent if they're not already out. But you're going to be able to do things like adjust your tables, your graphs, your pivot tables. You're going to be able to generate formulas, column suggestions, generate charts and get insights from those pivot tables and pivot charts, right? So cool things that you're going to be able to do to highlight the interesting portions of your data. On the task side and the planner side, you're going to be able to generate new plans and set goals and track status of your tasks and react to changes as your projects evolve. So some of the cool things that are on the roadmap that is upcoming. So
yeah, awesome stuff. It's gonna be an exciting year. I think it's gonna be interesting to watch. Okay, so we've talked a lot about Copilot, and unfortunately we're gonna still talk a little bit more, but I want to switch to some other things that are happening in the digital workspace. So Crystal, I'm looking at you on this one. So you're a Power Plat expert. What is some of the buzz you're seeing on some of the latest Power Plat or Power Platform updates? And like, how do you see these changes like lighting up really innovation sparks within businesses? Like, how's it gonna get people excited? And of course, we haven't really talked about AI within Power Plat. Anything there that you could share with us in a few minutes?
Oh, all right. There's a lot. Like the low and no code environments are now more robust and efficient thanks to AI innovations. Copilot is deployed on every tool of Power Platform. Now, since Copilot's release, there's been an increasing number of customers requesting for more. So particularly in areas on UI design or formula creation. So in response to this demand, Microsoft has added more capabilities to enable Copilot to simplify the app development process. So in addition to being able to drag and drop, do visual authoring or expressions, we can now use Copilot to generate content, design your application experience, automate workflows, and make data decisions. So if you've checked out the Copilot demos for Microsoft 365, where it assists in creating emails and presentations, you'll find that Copilot in Power Platform works similarly, but of course, focus on building Power Platform solutions. And with Copilot, we've seen quick implementations, DIY apps done in our practice, like the most common employee onboarding app, employee leave management app with this very streamlined approval process, like ticketing system, and here at CreoSpark too, we leverage these technologies, and we have a lot of internal Power Apps that we use, like the credential managers, so we don't need to share credentials on emails and chat, and the IT Asset Manager app, where we track all the devices we deploy to our staff. And we've also seen chatbots developed and deployed in Teams. So it's deployed in Teams to support like operational efficiencies within the organization, like bots answering common HR inquiries and self-service IT support, and really a lot more cool stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So what I really liked about your answer was the actual examples that you provided on some of those DIY or do-it-yourself tools. So those of you who are listening, I hope you quickly jotted those down. Those are what people keep asking us about Power Plat is, hey, what are some examples? What should I be trying to do with this thing? Maybe I got these licenses that I don't know. Crystal, just rattled off some really good ones. And so, yeah, if you didn't get them, don't worry, we'll have that recording out for you shortly. You'll be able to go back to that. We're about 50 minutes in here. Just remember that timestamp and you'll get some really good stuff. Okay, if you could go to the next slide, please. So we got the power plant update. I thought it would be nice to hear a little bit more about collaboration communication around Viva and SharePoint Premium. Our bread and butter with SharePoint, we're definitely moving well beyond that now because SharePoint is an outright very, very important foundational component to most modern digital workspaces, but there's still more that is around what Viva provides, and of course Copilot on top of that. So Jed, I know you've been asking to be able to share some of this stuff. I mean, think of the businesses that are they were looking at Syntax. So those of you who don't know, SharePoint Premium is the rebrand of Syntax. Rez had already said that, but like, can you provide any insider tips on helping to make that transition smooth into these more modern platforms? Like, how can we squeeze some more juice out of this? Because SharePoint Premium is going to cost more. Viva, most of those modules do cost more money. Like, if we're going to get some ROI from that, how can we get more out of this tool? And I think if I remember, you said that you had even a kind of a case study or a true example that you could provide.
Oh yeah, we certainly do. Absolutely. So CreoSpark, being one of like the founding members of the Microsoft Content Intelligence community, we dived into Syntax like really early, pre-release and early release, and used that to build a great AI document processing solution for financial statements for one of Canada's largest independent financial and accounting firms. So these guys are like approaching 100 years old, over 500 employees, and they have a team which is called the Request for Offer team, and they needed help streamlining their financial statement processing. Interestingly, when they actually came to us, they came to discuss Power Apps, and we're thinking automation from that perspective. But we thought this was a perfect problem for AI to solve. So we built that solution based on what was Syntax, which is now going to be SharePoint Premium, and the machine learning models within that, and the ability, in this case, to create custom machine learning models trained on their documents. So there are eight custom models which are able to extract metadata from 40 to 50 different types of financial statements. So it's not like you just feed them, oh, this is an invoice. No, we have to train them to go look at, process, understand these 40 to 50 different types of financial statements. So that's harnessing the power of Microsoft AI in the form of Syntax rather than Copilot. But the solution also levers SharePoint Online, the Power Platform for workflows and things. Take it all together to build that solution, and we successfully transformed that client's financial statement processing workflow business use in a really meaningful way, like bringing enhanced efficiency and accuracy. But let's put some numbers on that, because I could just tell you anything. The automation reduced the external statement processing time by 87.5%. So what does that mean? That means you can process 100 statements, used to take 2 days, you're now doing it in like 20 minutes. So on the screen there is a barcode which you can scan, and it will take you to the full case study on our website, so you can read a lot more about this and get all the details. But yeah, I think we have to remember that machine learning was around a long time before Gen AI, and we can do the machine learning and document processing and everything in SharePoint Premium too, and it's somewhat of a virtuous circle. If you use that AI to process your documents, then they're going to be in a lot better place for you to feed them to co-pilots and get good responses.
Very cool. Okay, we're running out of time. So a question did come in that I did want to make sure we got in. Rez, I think I'm going to go to you on this one. It was, thanks Prem for offering this. How will Copilot within Office apps benefit organizations? Rez, do you have like a 1 or 2 minute answer for us on that?
Well, I think it's a recap of what we kind of said earlier, right? So within the Office apps, and I think by Office apps, you're meaning the client apps. So things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, you name it, right? Just this morning, one of our partners sent us a long email, and Eric, you and I have been stuck in leadership meetings all day today. We didn't have time to read it, but it's an important partner, so we need to respond to it quickly, but we didn't have 30 minutes to read the email. So I just pressed in Outlook, summarize this email button. It gave us the points that we needed to be able to respond, right? That's one example. Generating a slide deck from a template or from some sort of content type, right? For Word documents, right? I use the example of going to Excel and getting insights of your data to be able to have it automatically. You ask questions of your data and you get the results, or tell the data to add columns or the formatting or the formulas you need, right? So there's many, many different use cases on using Copilot within our Office apps.
Yeah, it's a productivity enhancer, and I see that. It's when I even use GPT, ChatGPT, to help me create a draft of something. That's how I see it really helping within the M365 suite, is to help create some content for us from summarization of existing content within your environment. That's the difference between ChatGPT and M365, is ChatGPT doesn't know your data, whereas Copilot will in a very secure way with significantly less hallucination, shall we say, because it is grounded by your data as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'd like to see when the ROIs come out, because I hear the lines, look, if Copilot can save you an hour per month in productivity, that's significantly lower cost than the actual hour of labor. So I mean, there's not a high bar that has to be set for Copilot to provide some productivity gains, and I would hope it would be significantly higher than an hour a month per employee. I would hope it would be even an hour a week. I think it should be totally achievable. Excellent. Let's see. I think we need to go ahead and wrap this up. So Michael, I'm going to be coming back to you for this. If we go the next slide, I think, yeah, we can't hit that. I would love to, but Michael, why don't you give us a little more update on the webinar survey? And if we have, I think that will probably be our hour.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your input on this. Been wonderful to learn all about this stuff. I say learn, like I'm not in it every day anyway, but it's been great to hear from you guys, the real experts. Appreciate you guys. Hey everybody. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we mentioned this survey we like to do. We like to get your feedback. We like to hear what you guys think of the sessions. If there's a session topic you'd like to see somewhere down the line, we've got a very broad spectrum of knowledge that we can bring to this, and a lot of different topics that we're excited about, but we want to hear what you guys are excited about as well. So let us know what you're thinking, what you think of the session. If there's a topic you'd like to hear, anything like that, let us know. If you do that, you're entered to win. You're entered for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. We do this drawing quarterly, and today is the day that if you've done it the last couple of times, you're entered in for it. So I'm gonna do this up here so I can't see who it is. We're gonna see who our big winner is kickoff 2024. And let's see, Nearide Lake. That's our winner, Nearide Lake. I probably pronounced it wrong, but I'll even hold it up so you can see it. There you go. You're a big winner. The winner is you. Congratulations on that. I'll be reaching out to you about that shortly. Let me see here. We have about 2 minutes left. We answered our questions. I have a question for you four, though. What is the one thing of all the things we've talked about today, what is the one thing you are most excited about of all the things that are coming up for the next year, for 2024? What's your favorite?
Content, SharePoint Premium.
I'm going to answer it more just personally. Since I'm in Teams so much, I'm looking forward to me just learning to use Copilot within Teams, and particular to see all the improvements and enhancements that I do expect Copilot to have within Teams. I expect it to start saving me minutes per 20s or 30 minutes per day, or make me more productive. I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent. Crystal?
Yeah, so some of the cool stuff that's upcoming in SharePoint Premium, but come to our workshop and hopefully they'll be unveiled by now. So that's one aspect.
Well played.
That's answer.
Well done.
Yeah, let's do that. But then coming from the SharePoint world, I'm really excited about Copilot in SharePoint. So excited to use that, especially with the design and generating content and pages. So,
Crystal, you got the last word.
Yeah. Well, mine is Copilot Studio. I mentioned it earlier. One of the new capabilities is the IVR integration with Dynamics 365 customer service. So it's kind of like in the same practice, Power Platform and Dynamics 365. So that's why I'm very excited for that.
Thank you for working that in. For all of you, that was the one topic I was hoping we'd have time for. We ran out of time, but it's all good. Hey, in the 30 seconds we have left, I want to, and I know Michael as well, thank you all so very much for joining me on this. This was exactly what I was hoping for. I hope you all that joined us got a lot of value out of this as well and start to get some of the information between the lines that Microsoft has been saying. So I think it's gonna be a great year. I look forward to seeing you join us more, and we're always here for you.
That's right. We've got an amazing set of sessions we've got coming up down the road in 2024. We hope to see you guys here. Hey, you've got two hands, put them up, put them together for our 4 speakers today. Eric, Rez, Jed, Crystal, thank you so much for joining us today on our first episode of the 2024 series. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for being here today. I hope you got everything you wanted to get out of this today. If you've got any additional questions or things you want to share with us, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Come hang out with us. We do a lot of events all the time. We do this webinar on the last Thursday of the month every month. We do what we call app-in-a-days or certain in-a-day sessions pretty much weekly throughout the year where we talk about specific topics within the Power Platform. We'd love to see you guys there as well. But with that, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We love you for being here. We hope to see you down the road in 2024. Have a great rest of your Thursday, your week, your weekend, your month, your year. Go 49ers. We'll see you guys down the road. Take it easy, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.